1. Like the very fine people hoax, CNN would now have you believe that Donald Trump doesn't think slavery was all that bad. And they went on an entire monologue to remind us of the ills of America. 2. The Pete and Bobby Challenge went down this morning with the Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. How'd we do? Did we beat SecDef? 3. The illegal immigrant Indian truck driver failed 10 out of 12 questions on English proficiency, could only answer 1 of 4 in the ability to read a traffic sign. We break it down with the boys from the Ruthless Variety program. It is Will Cain Country, streaming live at the Will Cain Country YouTube channel, the Fox News Facebook page, terrestrial radio, some 3 dozen markets across this great United States of America, but always on demand by subscribing at Apple or on Spotify. We've got a big show for you today. We're hanging out with the boys from the Ruthless Variety program. And speaking of hanging out with the boys, I hung out with my old friend, the head of NASA, now the head of the Department of Transportation. Sean Duffy this morning took him to the local gym because he was called out by HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, challenged me for us to take on the Pete and Bobby Challenge. 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, all within 10 minutes. The elite standard, can you hit under 5? The Secretary of Defense came in at 5:28. The Secretary of Health and Human Services came in at 5:48. How did it go? Well, here's a little look from the Sweat Gym in Dallas. Today says we got B-roll. There's the Secretary of Transportation doing some pull-ups. This is towards the end. My push-ups are getting a little worse for the wear. The head starts dipping. But it's a lot. It's a lot. In fact, I don't feel very good. I don't feel very good this morning. I've had my heart racing ever since. Can we just deal with this for 1 second? Can we deal with the internet trolls who can't do a single pull-up? First of all, Ron Filipowski, he's like some internet lefty commentator, pointed out Pete's pull-ups and said, Pete Hegseth pull-up is a bit different than the ones we did at Parris Island. Maybe it's an Army thing. He's grabbed like pull-up number 48 from Hegseth, where he's not getting full extension and he's jerking his body up above the bar, admittedly. But I'd love to see Ron Filipowski's pull-ups from back in the day at Parris Island, or better yet, I'd love to see his pull-ups today. Why don't we just do this, Ron? Why don't you take the challenge? Or someone that I used to work with back in my days at the Blaze, Tara Settemeyer, she grabs the Hegseth pull-up video and says, this guy has the nerve to disparage women in combat. Well, I know Tara Settemeyer, and I would challenge her to do 1 pull-up. See if you can get all 300 over the bar. It takes a lot of backbone to be calling out someone on their 47th, 48th, 49th pull-up from the internet. How about this? How about you take the Pete and Bobby Challenge? I'll tell you how I did coming up in just a moment here on Will Cain Country. But we once again have to revisit America's ills and ask the question, what defines America? Let's get into that with story number 1. President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social the following, which has set everyone's hair on fire. He said the museums throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially the last remaining segment of woke. The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future. We're not going to allow this to happen, and I have instructed my attorneys to go through the museums and start the exact same process that has been done with the colleges and universities where tremendous progress has been made. This country cannot be woke because woke is broke. We have the hottest country in the world, and we want people to talk about it, including in our museums. Now, the line that's getting everyone's attention is President Trump stating that the Smithsonian focuses on everything that is horrible in our country and how bad slavery was. People like California Governor Gavin Newsom seem to think that is a statement that suggests slavery wasn't that bad. Newsom posted on X, Trump's GOP has already called slavery a workforce development program. Now he's trying to erase slavery from U.S. history. Erase slavery from U.S. history. Much like the Very Fine People hoax, everything is in context. In that situation, we know that 5 seconds after the clip played all across media, Donald Trump said, I'm not talking about the white supremacists. I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis. To read into Trump's statement that someone, a museum in this case, only ever talks about how bad slavery is not to suggest that slavery wasn't bad. It's a question of what is the story of America? What is the story of America? Is it the founding, this great experiment never seen on the face of the planet, never seen throughout human history, of creating a constitutional republic of limited powers for the government, freedom for the people, self-governance? Is that the story of America? Is it manifest destiny? Is it expansion from the East Coast to the West Coast, sea to shining sea, across the plains of Texas? Is it creating this empire at home while exporting throughout our history the greatest values of America? Is it, in fact, slavery? Is that what defines America? Is it fighting totalitarian governments in the early 20th century, in World War I and World War II, pushing back literally the lines of Nazi Germany and Imperial Germany? Or is it an economy that has seen the greatest expansion of wealth and prosperity for people, both at home and abroad, in the history of the world? Look at a chart of per capita GDP and watch the explosion essentially correlate to the explosion of the United States of America. What is the story of America? Well, if you listen to the likes of CNN, who took this line, all the Smithsonian does is talk about how bad America is. They're here to tell you that is the definition of America. Here is Abby Phillips last night, very earnestly and very seriously and very sad on CNN.
Donald Trump says that one of the reasons for his crackdown on Smithsonian museums is, quote, everything discussed is how bad slavery was. What we try to do on this program is create a platform for discussion and debate that reflects the very real differences that exist in this country. It's what echo chambers in our society fail to do, frankly. But on this topic, it's important to say objectively, slavery was indeed bad. It was evil, the nation's original sin. And it is impossible to understand the true history of this country without fully grappling with slavery's impact.
There was a moment of silence at the end of this monologue on CNN in remembrance of the horrible nature of slavery. Is there a single American today that doesn't understand how bad slavery was? And that every American I reference includes the President of the United States. It's such a wordplay. It's such a twist, such a loss of context, such a willful ignorance to take that statement that all the Smithsonian focuses on is how bad slavery is, to turn it into someone suggesting that slavery wasn't bad, and then go on your platform and monologue about something we all know. Hell, you couldn't escape it. Everyone is taught about slavery. Everyone is taught about racism. Everyone is taught about Jim Crow. And virtually every person I know I've ever encountered, every American, agrees. Slavery was awful. I've told you this story before, but when I used to do a radio show on ESPN, I used to laugh sometimes at the commentators that would go on that day after some athlete was accused of hitting a woman and making his big platform that day how horrible it is to hit a woman. Bill Burr has a funny comedy bit about this where he said, has any wife beater ever been watching The View, listening to Whoopi Goldberg go on about how bad wife beating is and goes, you know what? She's right. I should stop beating my wife. Everyone agrees it's awful to hit a woman. Everyone agrees slavery was awful. No one is suggesting it. This is the easy take. It's the false take that the president is suggesting slavery wasn't bad. The question is, the real question, and what President Trump is suggesting here is, what is the story of America? If all you talk about is how bad slavery was, you seem to suggest that is the story of America. We are a flawed experiment, but not a failed experiment. We have had moments in our history where we have fallen far short of perfection, far short of our ideals, far short of the values laid out in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. But those imperfections are not the story of America. They are not what defines us. No more than yours define you. They are part of who you are. But are you only your bad choices? Is that who you are? There's nothing else to tell? Or that's the majority of what we should tell about you? Especially if, say in your case, you're the world's best quarterback. Is the story of Tom Brady his divorce? Is that the story of Tom Brady? Is the story of Albert Einstein his crazy hair? Is the story of Donald Trump his personal failings? These can be part of the story, but they are not the story. The story of America is a story of greatness, unique greatness, a singular experiment in human history that has set up the greatest human flourishing and freedom at the same time. And that is what is being suggested by President Trump, not just how bad slavery was. But go on. Have your 5-minute monologue to remind us that slavery was bad. I'm feeling a little off this morning. My heart is still calming down, a little bit of an arrhythmia, because I took the Pete and Bobby challenge this morning. 2 days, tinfoil. I don't know what video you have from this. This was just happened like 3 hours ago. We did this roughly 3 hours ago. Went to my gym. Sean Duffy, the head of NASA and the transportation secretary, is in town. He got called out by Bobby Kennedy. I said, why don't we come do this together? Talked him into it. Now, I don't know what video you have, 2 days, but we showed a little bit. By the way, I already told the TV staff, don't edit this thing to only show my last 10 pull-ups and my last 20 push-ups. Please. Can you show the first 80?
Great. What are you talking about?
Can you show the first 30 pull-ups? I've already seen these like Tara Settemeyers of the world going after the Secretary of Defense. I don't mind you showing the bad ones, but please show the good ones as well. What do you have, 2 days? You got a few videos?
Yeah, so you guys just kind of introing what you're about to do and the workout you're about to do.
Okay, yeah, there was a lot of strategy. What do I do here? And I didn't nail the strategy. My goal was to hit that elite 5-minute mark. I wanted to come in under 5 minutes. Probably more than that. I just wanted to beat the Secretary of Defense. So these were my two goals. And I thought a lot. How should I do this? Should I bang out all the pull-ups and then do the push-ups? Went back and forth. Should I do as many as I can on the first set? So like if I can do 30 pull-ups or 25 pull-ups, should I just do that and then do decreasing order, right? Do 30 push-ups and do decreasing order. I decided that's a bad idea. You don't want to go to failure. You don't want to get that burn because then every set is miserable and short afterwards. So I remembered from my CrossFit days, let's pace this out. I decided I'm going to do 20 push-ups, 10 pull-ups, and I'm going to try to do that in a minute 5 times, and that would put me under 5 minutes. Here's a little bit of the pregame preparation with Sean Duffy. What's the strategy, though? Are you going to crank them out all at once, all the pull-ups, all the push-ups?
So a lot of thought, a lot of research has gone into this.
Me too.
So I'm gonna do sets. I'm gonna do 10 sets of 5 for pull-ups and 10 push-ups, sets of 10.
Okay.
So
10.
Yep.
All
And
right.
5. That's my strategy. I'm not going for the 5-minute elite like you are, but you're an elite guy. Like I just want to get this done. But even if I do it in 15, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna get it done. But listen, these guys are great. We should get America, the cabinet, the government, healthy.
Absolutely. All right, by the way, let's not get that lost in here as we make fun of Will or Sean or Pete. That's what this is about. Getting America fit, not fat. Getting America healthy. Challenging yourself. And you know what? I know that there are several members of the militia watching and listening right now who showed up for me at the New York City Navy SEAL swim. So I hope those guys and more of you will take the Pete and Bobby challenge. And if you do, go onto one of our social feeds. We got to figure out how they can do this, Tinfoil. You can certainly post a video to X to me. Post your attempt at the Pete and Bobby challenge and then challenge other people.
X would be the best.
I gave a lot of thought on who to challenge. Okay, go to X and do that. I gave a lot of thought on who to challenge. And I'm not going to say the name, but I did reach out last night to someone very famous, very in shape. And the response I got was, hell no, I'm not doing that. And so I was a little shocked.
We don't want them to make you look bad.
He turned it down. It would have. That's right. That's why I reached out ahead of time. I didn't want to make him look bad. So I heard Jesse Waters on the 5 yesterday. I reached out to Jesse Waters on the 5 yesterday. I saw Jesse Waters say he did it. No video evidence whatsoever. And I understand that Jesse got called out by RFK. So I did as well. So Jesse's on. He is now challenged. I also chose to challenge Dan Orlovsky, my friend from ESPN, who stays in really good shape. And so Dan, I think there's a chance Dan could beat 5 minutes. Did I? Well, roll a little B-roll. I'll tell you what happened. All right, so I did the first 20 and 10. Easy, no problem. Came in at 40 seconds.
Those are good. And
then I made my first mistake. Yeah, this is pretty early on, I think. So 2010, it was, and I had 20 seconds rest after the first set. I was like, okay, should I take that full 20 seconds? I stood there for 10 resting. I was like, let's get a little ahead. I want to beat this 5 minutes. Let me get a little ahead. So I started at 50. Did my second set, no problem, 20-10, and I'm ahead of the clock. Same thing. I thought, okay, don't take your full, but I also lost track because I didn't wait for the full minute. I lost track of where I was in the clock. I took another 10, 15 seconds rest, and I thought, I'm ahead of the game, keep going. By the third or fourth set, I don't know what happened to the clock. I was behind, and the push-ups are the hardest part for me. Like, I started having to break the 20 down into sets of 10. By the end, my last set of push-ups was 2. So I had to, like, take rests.
Very shaky.
In between. When I dropped, were they shaky at the end?
Yeah, a little shaky.
Head was getting low. That's a bad habit I have. I think if my nose gets close to the floor, then my chest has gone down. But I looked at the clock when I started my last set of push-ups, and it was like 4:30. And I'm like, I'm not going to make it. You would think I can squeeze out 20 push-ups in, 30 seconds and beat it. I didn't. The official time I came in at 5:12.
I'll take it.
Didn't make
like
the 5-minute elite mark.
Though.
Thank you.
It's good.
Thank you.
It's really good. I thought it would be a lot higher than that.
You did?
I did.
What'd you think I'd come in at?
Like 7-8. It's hard, man.
7-8.
That's a hard challenge.
I started worrying about rhabdomyolysis. You ever hear about that? Like
What
when your
the hell?
muscles
Stop
break
Googling
down
things,
and
man.
And you
get off
sick.
WebMD.
I started thinking about a heart attack. It started hurting worse after I was done. I sat down, and all of a sudden, everything burned. My lungs, my chest. And as it kept going, I got that cough thing. You ever worked out like in a sprint and you get the coughs afterwards? I couldn't talk with Sean. I was coughing all the time, tinfoil, when you make your way to the kitchen.
Lung pop.
And then when I got home, I was like, I'm having a heart attack. I got to get my heart to stop racing. What you remember is 5 minutes is not a sprint. You don't sprint for 5 minutes. That's a long, you got to pace yourself. So if I had it to do over again, I would take that full rest. I would do it on a minute clock. Try to get 20 and 10 done in a minute, and then keep that rolling clock going. And then on your last set, if you can, bang it out and come in under 5. That's what I do if I ever did it again, which I'm not going to do it again.
There's a big question, though.
It's up. What is it?
Everyone wants to know. Did you have a Zyn in while you did the whole thing?
I had no nicotine while I did it.
Okay.
Definitely
That would have been badass, I'm just saying.
But I'm going to tell you, somebody else did. Duffy had a Starbucks coffee and a nicotine. I was like, dude, your heart's going to explode. But he was very, very casual on his timing. He was talking to me and walking around. I'm like, this is kind of a race, Sean. What are we doing here? And he was jumping on my pull-up bar. He never got in my way. But I was like, this guy... Have you seen Sean, by the way? He's lost 20 pounds.
He looks great.
People on the internet are asking if he's on Ozempic or if he has cancer. And it's neither. Jeez. He is eating only protein, basically. You know, he's eating meat, eating yogurt, and fermented vegetables. He's on the Maha diet, the RFK diet.
How does he have time? He has two jobs.
Looks good. To what? Organize his meals?
Yes. Like, what is he doing? Does he have like a private chef?
It's a little hard. I'm going to take him out to dinner tomorrow. We'll see what he orders.
Just
he looks good, though. He's lost a lot of weight in his face. You know who I should have challenged, guys? By the way, for the record, beat the Secretary of Defense by, I think it is 16 seconds. So, didn't make the 5 minutes, but...
Maybe challenge our next guest.
In your face? In your face, SecDef?
Which of the Ruthless guys do you
know
think
who we should have challenged?
Oh.
That's what I was going to say, Tinfoil. The Ruthless guys is who I should have challenged. Let's see what they have to say, because they're next on Will Cain Country. 2 out of 12 questions on English proficiency. 1 out of 4 ability to read traffic signs. That's what the illegal immigrant from India who killed 3 people pulling an illegal U-turn in the middle of a freeway was able to do and still get a CDL. It is Will Cain Country, streaming live at the Will Cain Country YouTube channel, the Fox News Facebook page, at Apple or on Spotify. Joining us now are the boys from the Ruthless Variety Program, Josh Holmes, Michael Duncan, Comfortably Smug, and John Ashbrook. What's up, fellas?
What's up, Will? How are you, pal?
I should have challenged you guys. I should have thrown down the Pete and Bobby challenge on you guys.
It's a big physical fitness day here on the program for you. I mean, this is, and by the way, I don't know if you guys had this experience. I couldn't turn the channel on yesterday without seeing Will darts off everywhere. Lot of enthusiasm for no shirt in each and every hour of Fox yesterday. It was like, it's a lot, Will. I appreciate that you're proud of it, but you know, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Honestly, listen, now that you guys are in the Fox family, let me give you a piece of advice. It's not that I'm proud of it, Holmes. I have gotten to the point where, you know what, man, the dignity is long gone. The self-awareness and self-consciousness has totally left. And it's just like, you know what? This is it. This is who I am. I don't like that the shorts are getting shorter because I don't do a lot of leg days. But, you know, I expect to see you guys. At some point in the next, I'm going to give you a 2-year window, shirtless on Fox.
I mean, if it's a contest for draining a case of Busch Light, I think we got everybody beat. But I'm not sure about the physical fitness territory. We might have to hand that over to you. Although, you know, you beat Hegseth. You might find
that is impressive.
You might find
that is extremely impressive.
Spot in the cabinet with a performance like that. That's fantastic.
I'm sure there will be internet trolls who tell me my pull-ups and push-ups were bad. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that. The left is all over Pete's push-ups and pull-ups, which is great. I'd love to see them bang out 1 pull-up, 10 push-ups. I'd love to see it. Which one of you guys is going to take up the challenge, by the way?
I think Ashbrook said he could do it when we were back there waiting for your segment to wrap up.
Can I?
I said that's impressive. When you said that you beat Pete, I was like, that's shocking. That's impressive. Ashbrook was like, I can still do it. And I was like, don't give me the window to bring it up while we're live, and I just did.
I will tell you guys, last night after we finished dinner, my girls were roasting me, as they do basically every night of my life. And they were like, did you see Hegseth? He pulled this thing off. So they saw it. And they were like, Dad, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do any of that. And then they started doing push-ups and sit-ups, and I was like, okay, well, I got to at least try.
Did you rip a few off?
So I did 50 push-ups in 45 seconds.
Oh, there you go.
And they were like, wow, Dad, that's pretty impressive, with 2 Zins in.
Look at that.
That's like Popeye spinach.
50 push-ups in 45 seconds. Ashbrook, you can do this. You should do it. I don't know what your pull-up game is like.
He can do it.
The pull-up game leaves a little bit to be desired. So I gotta practice that a little bit.
So next week he'll be appearing shirts off on Fox all week long for the viewing audience. It's just going to be a fantastic pleasure for everyone.
I'm holding him to that. I want to talk to you guys for a minute I want to get into a host of issues here in the news. But let's talk about this CNN, and this Donald Trump post about the Smithsonian, talking about how bad slavery is. The line from the left right now is that it's a dismissal or a suggestion that slavery wasn't bad. Again, I think like the Very Fine People hoax, this is a willful misreading of something that he wrote. The question is, what he is introducing to me is what is the story of America. But what I also am fascinated by is what does CNN think their role is at this point? Who are they speaking to? What American doesn't think slavery was bad?
Oh, God, it's such a good point. There's zero disagreement. I heard your monologue on that. There's zero disagreement about that. And I think what Trump is trying to do is exactly as you suggested. He's trying to tell the full story of America. It's not just your worst day. It's got to be what's happened in your best days and how you've grown into the greatest country on the face of the planet, in the face of history. And that's what museums are for. They're not just exclusively talking about all of the divisive issues that make people angry, that bring back horrible memories of days gone by, but how you've gotten out of it, how you've innovated and everything else.
Yeah, but liberals don't have an interest in talking about American history unless they can make people feel bad about it.
Yep. You're right.
Like, that's it. That's their whole interest is just that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, inherently, leftism is a pessimistic philosophy, and that's why they have. I mean, you're telling people basically that there's no bright future for you. Join us in our cause to try and steal from other people and redistribute it to others. They have to see everything as glass half empty, as there's no better days ahead. There's nothing to be proud of, because if you can make everyone feel like there's got to be a wet blanket about everything.
Yeah.
You can walk into a museum. They don't want to show you a painting of like Washington crossing the Delaware. They want to be like, remember slavery, guys? That was bad, right? That's pretty terrible. They can't make Americans proud of the country that we have, the greatest country that we have, or else they wouldn't buy into like Bernie and them telling them this is why we have to tear the country apart.
No, I mean, it's entirely right. They don't have a political pitch, and this has gone now 30 years or more, but they don't have a political pitch unless there's a victim associated.
Bingo.
Because the policies that they prescribe, to the extent that you can even figure those out these days, are all about punishing some group, some villain out there. And I think the vast majority of Americans, as evidenced by the last election, have now figured out that it's never about doing anything for anyone. Mm-hmm. It's about playing on the resentment of others, which is, I think you're right, the whole philosophy.
The villain for the last 10 years, of course, we know, has been Donald Trump. So that's been their North Star, their guiding light. Whatever Trump is for, whatever he champions, then that is what is evil, and they have to be on the other side of that. It's really wild when it comes to this potential negotiated peace between Ukraine and Russia, because it seems as though they're cheering against the ability of Donald Trump to pull this off. Yeah. Here, I'm going to play this clip for you. I think I have one from CNN. I might have one from MSNBC, but the line is like, he got owned by Putin. He's failing at pulling this off. I'm like, what is it that you want? Here, let's watch CNN.
So first, when the Kremlin responds in this way, utmost care, we're taking our time, while the military offensive is happening, what do you hear?
Well, clearly the boss, Putin, wants a little more out of Donald Trump than he's gotten. And quite frankly, I don't think this should be a surprise to anybody. Look, Donald Trump, by meeting with Vladimir Putin last week, gave away the store. He gave away the political isolation that had been built for the last several years to keep Putin at bay until there was a meeting that was meaningful. But by meeting with Trump on American soil, Putin got what he needed. He got his photo op. He doesn't need any more. Now he needs to continue this war, keep the pressure on Ukraine militarily, and hope to continue to try to crack the American-European alliance. And so he's...
So that's CNN. Yeah, so the mistake he made was meeting with Putin, right? Because you've platformed him. You've legitimized him. I really wonder, Ashbrook, what is the outcome that they are seeking here? It's hard to get to an outcome or an answer that isn't war. Like, the outcome that they're pushing for is the continuation of war.
Yeah, they want America to lose. I mean, it's an extension of everything that we were talking about a second ago, that the left wants America to lose because they care more about Donald Trump looking bad than they do about peace across the world. I mean, what this president has done over the past week is so much more than the previous administration did in 4 years. And I remember at that press conference something that Putin said. He said that he would not have invaded Ukraine if Joe Biden hadn't won the election. And can you really trust Vladimir Putin? Probably not. History shows you can't trust anything he says. But I do think there's something to that. He saw weakness in the American president who couldn't put two sentences together, and he knew that he had a moment. And I think now that Donald Trump is back on the scene and America is strong again, he knows that there's a check and balance. I mean, look at those European leaders lined up in front of the president's desk this week. Look at them sitting around the table, coming up with a way to end this war. It didn't happen when Democrats were in charge, and they're more embarrassed about that than they'll ever let on.
Yeah. I guess that the envisioned outcome is that Vladimir Putin will tuck his tail, he'll retreat, or we have all-out war. Like I don't see where they are championing the cause of peace or a compromise or an end to this war in any way, or championing, even hoping for it. Smug, I know how much you love journalists. I did this interview the other day. I think about this a lot. Like, why is the media the way that it is, right? And I did this interview the other day. It was with the Dallas Morning News, and it was with this reporter. And it was actually a really nice conversation. I enjoyed talking to her. And she told me about her career arc. And, she left. She grew up here. She went to New York or Austin first, worked for alternative newspapers, ends up at one of them, Radar, I don't know, one of them in New York, ultimately. And, of course, disagreed with everything that I think, at least at one point in her life. And she admitted something fascinating to me. We talk about that the media is populated by people often from, the Beltway, D.C. up to New York, the Acela corridor. It ideologically draws people. But she admitted, I grew up in a conservative environment, and so me going to the media was my opportunity to rebel against that. And then the industry attracts not just people who are from blue places, but people from red places who are upset with, in some way, the way they grew up and are rebelling against that. And I really thought that was a fascinating admission by her on, why she is the way she is and in the media.
Well, yeah. I don't know this individual personally, but I have several experiences with many people in journalism from when I lived in New York, from time I've spent in D.C. This is not specifically to that individual, but there is absolutely a common strain of people who have some kind of familial issue of I'm mad at dad. Dad said this is not a good way to make a living. I'm going to show him. Dad thought he was so smart. He ran an HVAC company that was successful enough to put a roof over our heads. I'm going to the big city, and I'm going to live in a rat-infested mess in Brooklyn and show Dad, I'm not going to listen to him. There is so much of that.
Many such cases.
Yeah, and then the manifestation of it that you see in their writing.
What about, I don't like the cool kids and the social hierarchy of where I grew up and the way that it was defined. I didn't fit into that. So now I get to redefine what cool is and dump on everything that kind of is red America.
Yep. And that's the thing. They're like, my family's had 7 generations of us working hard and trying to have a better life than our parents and providing for our kids better than was provided for us. I'm going to buck that trend. I'm going to go to the city. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. And then it's the same sad, trite story. They think they're being a rebel, but this is the most cookie cutter I'm mad at dad rebellion you see in the city. You walk, the Lower East Side is essentially 40 to 50 of these people per building. It's like the song as old as time. You see this over and over again. And that's the problem, is that inherently they're just rebelling against a system that works, of stability, of having a family, of trying to build something, of an optimistic future. And they're like, nope. And then you see it in their writing, the anger that they express of people who are trying to have a traditional American life. They get mad at people who are like, wait, you don't agree with letting in unlimited illegal aliens? Don't you feel bad as a person? No, I actually believe we should have a country and borders. Their entire definition, or their entire existence, is defined by a rebellion against their family and their parents.
You put a lot of thought into the
it's because you see it so much. You see it so much. It's like, oh my God,
I knew if I teed him up, Holmes. I knew if I teed him up, he'd spike that volleyball.
It's well done, Will. Hey, you really know how to punch that card. I'm wondering, though, in all of your observations, the one thing that I've always had a question about with the journal is particularly on the Lower East Side or whatever, Does it come with a starter kit that has like horn rim glasses?
Oh, yeah.
It has to have some kind of a designer eyeglass involved.
I mean, it's
because they all look the same.
That is the thing, and it's because they, in their own minds, they're so convinced that they're the one person to discover this truth. I'm the fire keeper. I've brought it down from the mountain. And it's like, no, it's so sad. Look around you. There's 1,000 of you on the block. Do something with yourself. And you're competing
with each other. And you're all competing with each other about who's the most virtuous, quietly seething inside at each other that you're not as virtuous as I am. Because it's all a game. It's who can climb higher on the virtue mountain. Who can be better than the next.
And here's the thing. It's not going well. You know this. I mean, jobs in that line of work are hard to find the diamonds in the rough. I mean, it is a rough platform out there for them.
Well, not just jobs, like persuasion and the culture. Like, it's not going well for you. Like, the whole point of this enterprise, of you convincing us of the validity of your ideas, it's not going well.
Oh, certainly not. I thought just to draw back on your previous conversation, Will, just about, what do they want out of Ukraine? Like, what are they? And they're reduced to just being critics at this point. But one of the things that I found so funny about that clip that you played is the guy was talking about, and just think about this logically as a listener. He was talking about how, well, the world had collectively decided to isolate Putin, not meet with him, not talk with him, to quote unquote, keep him at bay. Okay, how did that work out for you? Keep him at bay. I mean, that's why we're in the conversation in the first place. The bay is not where he's at. It is out, and it is open, and it is an active problem with thousands of people dying. Perhaps someone should have a conversation about that kind of thing. And that's like the dumbness that is this generational foreign policy establishment that has happened in Washington, D.C. for as long as I can remember, probably dating back past Eisenhower, that people have just sort of like accepted as truth, and that's what they report on. And it is just amazing how Trump has shattered that in 7 months.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. 7 months. All right, speaking of crazy, I want to ask you guys about this story. So the illegal immigrant from India, truck driver, overstayed his visa, came in illegally, then got the asylum case, which eventually he overstayed. So he's illegal. He killed 3 people when he pulled a U-turn on a Florida highway. He did it in that emergency section, between oncoming traffic. I've never seen a truck try this at all. Never seen an 18-wheeler try this. He tried it. He killed 3 people. Now the reports are Harjinder Singh answered just 2 of 12 questions correctly when being tested for English language proficiency by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration after the crash. And when asked to read highway signs and their meanings, Singh could only identify 1 out of 4, U.S. Department of Transportation announced on Tuesday. That is incredible. Despite all that, he had a CDL that had been granted by 2 sanctuary states, California and Washington. Now we're going to focus on Singh. We're going to focus on illegal immigration. We got to focus on California and Washington. What are you doing giving CDLs to a person that can't read English or traffic signs?
So my mother has been struck twice by an illegal immigrant while she was driving. Twice. This is a significant problem that affects way too many people. She has permanent back injuries. Mm-hmm. Like, at some point, Donald Trump has shown that he can be a deterrent to allowing illegal immigrants to enter the country. Now we need a deterrent within the country that makes them want to leave and get out of here, right? So you have those 2 states you mentioned are giving, if you're an illegal currently in this country, they're essentially legitimizing you. They'll hand you a driver's license. A commercial driver's license, where at a much greater magnitude than just driving a car illegally. Now you have a truck. It becomes a weapon, as we've just seen. There needs to be a way to get these people to leave the country. And I think, listen, if you're here illegally, you're an illegal entrant to the United States, right? I think you should be considered an enemy combatant. You have broken the sovereignty of this nation. You have entered our country illegally. There should be a death penalty. It should not be, we're going to give you a plane ticket. No, we're going to give this murderer a plane ticket home. That's what he gets. Congrats, you murdered Americans. Here's a ticket home.
Right.
No. No, he has to. And same thing we would do is if you had a terrorist enter the country and kill people, there should be a penalty so severe that, number one, we don't have to deal with this individual anymore in our society. But number two, it gives a message to every illegal alien in this country. There are consequences. You can't abuse America and get away with it. You can't kill Americans and get away with it.
Well, I think it also highlights how complicated the illegal immigration problem is beyond just the border itself, right? Like these visa overstays are a huge problem about sort of internal enforcement of our immigration law. So we got to get our arms around that, Will. I think that's a huge problem. The other thing is, like, I mean, kind of echoing Smug's point, like we have to find other ways to disincentivize, whether it's the illegal immigrants themselves, the companies that employ them, or the states that allow this stuff to happen. And I don't know if the Trump administration needs to withhold, federal highway funds from the state of California until they get their arms around this sort of thing.
I think that's
but, like,
a no-brainer.
sort of stuff we got to do.
I totally agree with that. I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, you're talking about Class A. You're talking about commercial driver's license that are supposed to be pretty difficult to get in the first place because, lo and behold, driving an 18-wheeler at 75 miles an hour has danger, has risk associated with it. And these people have no real stake in our society. But what California and Washington did is do the opposite of what you all are suggesting. They not only allowed this sanctuary haven for them to live, they incentivized them and others by allowing them to get very unique privileges to make a very good living in this country, which is a violation, by the way, of federal law. And so your highway fund thing, that's a good idea. Like they probably should do that.
Also, I think it should go beyond that, in that Pam Bondi and the feds should subpoena the records of who was in California, who was the clerk who issued this driver's license to an illegal. Charge him as an accessory to murder, because the left corrupts institutions and they think that's all that's needed. Is that, okay, we control this institution, we can do whatever we want. But if you make federal consequences for any individual who takes part in that corruption, whether it's the person who signs off on giving them a license, charge them as an accessory to murder. Now, when people have, if you're at a DMV working in California and an illegal comes up for a license, are you going to sign up for that? Are you going to be like, yeah, I'll give this guy a license and know that if he does something, all of a sudden I can face a federal charge? No, you're not going to do that. That's how you take it apart.
Oh, man, Officer Brandon Tatum the other day said that this guy should get the death penalty. Then you guys come on top saying everybody involved with this guy should be accessory to murder. I got to up my game here. I mean, this is serious accountability that you guys are ready to impose. But I totally agree with you. From the states, California, Washington, to the trucking company. I mean, there's got to be accountability beyond the illegal immigrant if we're going to solve this thing. All right, are we going to play fantasy football together? So, I mean, you guys got your licks in on the television show with your Dallas Cowboy jokes. Now, are you going to come in? Are we going to do it?
Does
Holmes know what fantasy football is? Last time we were together, he was pronouncing NIL nil.
I run the most exclusive
do you know what fantasy football is, Josh?
League in the country right now. It's a very tight list, and two things. First off, I got the invite from your fantasy league, and it was on ESPN, and I don't support those people. I'm not a member of any of these woke leagues.
What do you mean?
I'm just happy you have your show today. I got an invite from your league, and it's ESPN. And then I see that ESPN's calling back all the old guys. I was like, oh no, is this guy going to be the next on the Sports Center desk? Are they going to bring him back?
Oh, come on. It's outrageous.
That's outrageous.
My man's gunning for the 4 p.m. hour right here on my noon hour. It's going to be the Ruthless Variety program
I did accept the invite into the league with you. You're not going to like the name of my team very much, though. It's the Dallas Cryboys.
Excellent.
And I think I'm going to try to stock that team as much with the roster of the Cowboys, just so I can complain about them every Thursday when we do your TV show.
It's going to be great. If you do bring up your fantasy football team on TV, you just always have to remember, nobody cares about your fantasy football team. Nobody at the barbecue, nobody on TV.
You'll care, though, when I have CeeDee Lamb. Yeah.
It'd be fun. I don't know what Smug's exclusive fantasy football league is that I haven't gotten an invitation into, but it'd be fun to play fantasy football with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Would love it.
And
Yeah, I'm a
everybody
champion
watching-
of that league, by the way. Just
Yeah.
your audience, I know is dying to know.
And I know audiences don't care about fantasy football, but ours is a 20-person league. Do you know how tough it is having 20? Like, you're playing the fifth string
Yes.
wide
Be
receiver, being like, "You can do it, bro. I believe it. Get me a catch today."
I love it. I love that. I don't like it when they get too easy and everybody's got a
Nope.
star at every position. I like short benches and deep leagues in terms of the number of teams. So you have to actually work at it. Otherwise, it's not fun.
I love it.
You're watching us on YouTube. You're watching us on Facebook. Make sure you check out the Ruthless guys as well, where you can see them on YouTube. You can get them as well on Spotify and Apple. It's a great program, and I encourage you to subscribe. Fellas, always appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks much, Will.
Well, see you, buddy.
All right, there they go. John Ashbrook, Michael Duncan, Comfortably Smug, and Josh Holmes, the Ruthless Variety Program. When we come back, Denny Duron is the head football coach and pastor at Evangel Christian Academy in Louisiana. And he's got God, Family, Football up on Fox Nation. We've talked to him several times. He's also got one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Let's talk to Denny Duron when we come back on Will Cain Country. It is Will Cain Country streaming live at the Will Cain Country YouTube channel. By the way, they're up on Instagram right now. There's a live video. In that video, there in the comments, there's a link to the Will Cain Country YouTube channel. Head over there, hit subscribe, set a reminder, bookmark it, all of that, so you can start hanging out with us every day right here. And then you jump into the comment section as well. There's going to be a lot of unique content on that page. That's where we create our community. That's where we bring everyone together. Like this. Like Mark said on YouTube, I would probably be vaping. During the Pete and Bobby challenge, you'd be vaping?
Really coughing there.
Mark. Do it on video, Mark. I'd love to see that. Thomas West says, put jeans on next time and you'll best 5 minutes. So did Jesse Waters asked Bobby Kennedy why he always wears jeans, like even when he's working out? And his answer was something like, well, I always went hiking in the morning and I worked out afterwards, so I got used to it. That doesn't sound right to me. That doesn't sound right. Who works out in jeans?
Brett Favre.
I'm guessing that Bobby skips. Does Brett Favre work out in jeans?
Yeah, Wrangler, baby.
I'm guessing Bobby skips leg day. That's what I think's going on there. You know, wear jeans, you don't have to see what the quads look like. And then Suzanne says, I'm confused how Will can do the SEAL swim and be 100% fine, and then the 50-50 challenge almost took him out. Well, it's a 150 challenge, Suzanne, and it did almost take me out. I can't explain it. I think there's a lot of resting in the SEAL swim. There's a lot of stages. Willie Sanchez, the head of sales over here at Fox Audio, is sitting in studio with me. He always works the SEAL swim. And, you get moments to recover in the SEAL swim. It's a bit of a marathon, like the length of the day, the length of the swim, the sheer number of push-ups and pull-ups, but it's certainly not a sprint. This was a 5-minute and 12-second sprint. And that hurts. That hurts really bad. Who would know something about that is Denny Duron. He is the head football coach and pastor at Evangel Christian Academy in Louisiana. His school, and Denny is focused on with God Family Football up on Fox Nation. Coach, 5 minutes is not a sprint, right? Like, you do anything all out for 5 minutes, you're falling out. Your lungs are hurting. Your muscles are hurting. I don't know what a sprint is, but it's not 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that people started running under 5 minutes in the mile or under 4 minutes in the mile. I mean, that's a long time. That's a long time to do anything full speed. It really is.
Yes, to do something full speed. I was watching, Coach. I'm watching the new Cowboys documentary on Netflix, Jerry Jones, the gambler in America's team. And they talked about when Jimmy Johnson took over the Cowboys in '89 and how bad it was, how rough he was on everybody. And what they say, the conditioning drill was it 10 110s? That you had to do 10 110s. When you are getting your team ready, and I played water polo in college, not comparable to football, but we had Hell Week. We had the things we had to do. What is the worst thing your team has to do physically?
Well, all of our guys have got to be able to run 22 110s. we feel like that is
Maybe it was that.
Gets us in peak condition. So every kid on our team right now is responsible to be able to run 22 110s and at the same time. And so it's been
maybe I got the number
been
wrong for the
it's been a
Cowboys.
journey
Surely
for
you
some
guys
of the
aren't-
linemen. Yeah.
Oh,
But
I bet.
one of the things we've decided we've got to have this year, Will, is that we got to be in shape, because a lot of our guys have got to go both ways. And in order to go both ways, you have got to be in shape. Football happens, in just such short increments. I forget what the statistic was on actually how long you're moving full speed during a football game, but it's not a lot of time. But it is exhausting, especially if you don't get an opportunity to go to the sideline and recover between series. And there are several of our guys that are so key to us that they're going to have to play 80% of the time both ways. And so we're just doing our best to get them in tip-top condition.
Well, Coach, I don't know if we can do the math together, but my guess is an average play is somewhere in the range of 7 seconds. That might be even long, to your point.
Yeah,
a play,
probably more like 3.5.
You think it's 3.5? Okay.
I think more like 3.5.
The snap of the ball
Yeah.
to the tackle, 3.5 seconds.
Right.
Okay, and in that 3.5, it's a full-on sprint. At whatever it is
Absolutely.
you're doing, it's the equivalent of
Yeah.
a sprint. If it's on
And
the
people
line,
are going to,
you're
at our
essentially-
level, kids are going to play probably going to play 60 plays if they just go one way. So you can figure that out.
Okay.
I'm not the math guy.
You got 60 offensive plays in a game?
Yeah.
Dang, that's a lot.
Average.
And yeah. So you do that math, and then you get that little bit of rest. It is high intensity intervals strung out over a couple of hours like that. Yeah, that's a different kind of workout. How's the team looking this year, Coach?
Really, really pleased with where we are right now. We have our first scrimmage this Thursday, actually tomorrow. And we're scrimmaging a defending state champion. So it should be quite a challenge. But our kids this year are just more focused. And I think that happens with a large senior class. It just suddenly dawns on the guys that maybe haven't been given everything that they've needed to give, that, hey, I'm about to be out of here. This is my last opportunity. And so you get a little more intensity from a large senior class. And we have the largest senior class that we have had since I came back and took the challenge of this restart. And I am very, very pleased with where we are right now as a team. In fact, I was thinking about it today, just watching these guys practice together and with such focus. They're resilient, they're tough, and very, very athletic. So we're excited.
You and I have talked on several occasions, Coach. You got a unique situation there. You're also the pastor at Evangel Christian. You're raising not just good football players, but good young men is the focus. And that's really the stories that are told on God, Family, and Football up on Fox Nation. Every year, every season, you focused on a couple of different players, what they're going through personally with their family life or their own health. What do we have this year that we can see play out, not just between the lines, but off the field for your team?
Well, I don't get to see these shows until everybody else does. So I was a little late actually watching the episodes because my schedule was so jammed, and I wanted to be able to sit down and not be disturbed and just watch straight through. They released 3 the first Thursday and then another one the next Thursday. And so I was going to watch, all 4. And all 4 of those episodes made me cry. And I probably kind of anticipated what was coming. But what they did was just unlock some of these kids' lives, just what they're going through, particular challenges that they have. Some of the stuff I honestly didn't know or the depth of it until I watched it pour out in such an emotional way on this show. All I can say is you're not going to be disappointed if you watch this show. This show is going to be everything that you anticipated it could be. The football is beautifully shot. The plays are spectacular with this new young quarterback that we have. and you're going to really fall in love with the way that's done if you're a football person. But even if you're not a football person, most of this show revolves around, as you said, the stories of these young men. The thing we love about Fox Nation is that the president and vice president of Fox Nation said this to us: we want you to tell all of your Jesus stories. We are not going to limit you. We are not going to in any way prohibit you from just being who you are. So we've gone for it. And our producers have told stories that really touch the heart. And I think also give insight to what kids are going through right now everywhere in America.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that's raising kids can appreciate seeing the others going through the same or harder situations. By the way, you brought up your quarterback, Peyton Pop Houston. I just looked it up a minute ago, Coach. He's the number 14 quarterback at 24/7, 2027 quarterback recruit, whatever those rankings are worth.
Well,
but he's one of the
much.
nation's top quarterbacks.
Yeah. What I will tell you about those rankings is this. When he was a freshman, when he was a sophomore, he was going to be 1, 2, or 3. But what happens with the journalists, God bless them, and the sports writers is the closer you get to these guys being seniors, they're going to retreat into their Ohio State or their LSU or their USC corners. And the guys that they signed are kind of going to be the guys that edge up those lists. So you can read 10 of those lists, and all 10 of them are going to rank the guys differently. But if there is a better quarterback in America, I want to see him, because I haven't seen them yet. This kid is crazy good. And it's just a joy to watch him play every Friday night. Somebody asked me last year, we were 1-5 at one point, and had lost all these games just by, a point or two. And somebody said, doesn't this just discourage you? I said, absolutely not. And they said, well, how do you stay focused and stay up and excited? I said, I get to watch Pop Houston play every Friday night. Are you kidding me? For an old quarterback, that's something to look forward to all the time. But I would certainly recommend that everybody watch this show on Fox Nation to see this young quarterback perform.
Let me ask you 2 questions about your quarterback. Where's he going to go to college?
Well, he has a short list, and he has really, I don't think, named that yet or made that public. But I think Texas is in the mix, and LSU's in the mix, and Oklahoma's in the mix, and probably USC.
Nice.
Those are all people
not
that
Oklahoma.
have. Yeah, those are people that have all impressed him, and he likes something about their program.
Nice.
Interestingly enough, about this kid, it's not the fandom and the pomp and circumstance of these huge programs that impress him. The thing that impresses him is whether or not they have the ability to get him to the next level. Are they going to be people that he thinks can develop him at the college level? And that's a very mature, point of view for a kid that age. But I can tell you that's just characteristic of who he is.
Well, one more question, and this is, it is about Pop, but it's about the position and college football and high school football in general. You have a player at this level, Coach, and there's a new factor in play here. Maybe it's not new, but at least it's openly new, meaning NIL and paying players. And, that's a whole new thing. I keep saying new, but I know as well as you do that, Texas A&M and Texas and SMU and everybody else was dropping bags of money off in the 70s and 80s in the old days. Now they're just allowed to do it. And it's part of the negotiation of where you're going to college. So how does that work, for you? Is there an agent involved for a player like this? Is that a big part of his factor? I wouldn't begrudge him of it, because that's a big deal. Like, it could be a lot of money for your family.
Yeah, these kids all have to have agents. And Pop certainly has an agency that he is signed to. I would think that probably most of these young quarterbacks would do it incrementally. They would want to have an agent for high school, and then they would want to be able to have a renegotiation period to see whether they wanted to stay with that agent for college or pros or beyond. I think that Pop Houston and his family has handled this as well as anybody could handle it. It's amazing to see the class that they've handled everything with. Pop is not a boastful guy. You're not going to ever hear him talk about himself. He's always helping. Today we're working out this morning, and we have the second team quarterback that comes in with the second team offense, and I'm instructing the quarterback, and I turn around and I bump into Pop, and Pop is coaching this second stringer. He's right there in his pocket, making sure that he's a part of every play and that kid knows everything that he is to do. That's who he is. And so I can tell you that when they go to the college level, I think that the money is certainly going to be a factor, because I think the money means something now. If you're willing to invest in a player like that, that means that you've got plans for him. But in the same sense, what I can tell you is that it will not be the only factor for this family. They are looking for a place where their faith can grow, and they're looking for a place where they can grow the football skills of this amazing young quarterback.
A little bit like a college version of Evangel Christian Academy, what he's had in high school, which is featured on God, Family, and Football, up on Fox Nation several seasons now. Head coach, Pastor Denny Duron has been with us several times, and we appreciate your time, Coach. We can't wait to check out the new season.
Well, I do. Well, it's always great to talk to you. And I think I've talked to you more than anybody on Fox. And so when I see that I'm going to be talking to you, I'm real comfortable. And I love your show.
Good. I'm glad. That's what I want. That's what I want. Thank you so much, Coach. I really appreciate that. All right. Good luck this season. We'll see you again soon, hopefully. Denny Duron. All right. That's going to do it for us today on Will Cain Country. Brand new YouTube channels where you find us now. Make sure you hit subscribe. Set a reminder. Come hang out with us again tomorrow. Same time, same place. I'll see you again next time.